Greetings everyone! Today's video will be about dominant seventh chords and how they resolve to other chords by using country motion and chromaticism. In case you don't know, country motion happens when two notes are moving in opposite directions at the same time when changing between chords. This is a very effective compositional device and you will see why in a few moments. Now let's take a look at the famous 5-7 to 1 chord progression, meaning in any given key, major or minor, we would have the dominant seventh chord be from the fifth step of that key. For example, in the case of C major, that chord would be G7. It spells the notes G, B, and F. Normally, it also includes the perfect fifth, D, but I've chosen not to play it in this position because it will help with voice leading, meaning notes have to move as little as possible between the chords. Alright, so the notes that are moving, or actually I should begin with the note that is not moving between these two chords, and that is G, which is of course first the root of G7, and then it becomes the perfect fifth of C major. Then we have B, which is the major third of G7, moving up a half step to C, which is the root of C major. And last we have F, the flat 7 of G7, which is moving down a half step to E, the major third of C major. This cadence is very strong and feels very resolved because it fulfills one of the very basic principles of Western music, which is tension and release. Of course, tension happens in the G7 chord and release is then in the C major chord. And that is because between the major third and flat 7 of G7, or any dominant seventh chord for that matter, they are a sharp 4 or flat 5 apart, which is quite a dissonant interval. Listen. They then resolve to a major third apart, which is a more pleasing and consonant interval. The first example we are going to look at is A Hard Day's Night by the Beatles. And in the last two beats of the chorus, George Harrison plays a G7 and then a D7, then starting the verse with G major. Of course, we have a 5-7 to 1 between the D7 and G. Again, the moving notes are the major third of the 5-7 chord, which in this case is F sharp, moving up to the root G of the 1 chord. Then we have C, which is the flat 7 of D7, moving down a half step to be the major third of G major. Now, dominant seventh chords do not necessarily have to resolve to major chords, they can also resolve to minor chords in a minor key. Sticking with the Beatles, we can take a look at the chorus to All You Need Is Love, where the chords are G major, B7, and E minor. In this case, the major third of the 5-7 chord still moves a half step up to the root of the 1 chord, but the other note that is moving is different. In this case, it's the perfect fifth of the 5-7 chord. In this case, it is F sharp, moving up a half step to G, the minor third of E minor, the 1 chord. But in this case, they play it in, I'm fairly sure they play it in this position, and the top note is F sharp, which then goes down a whole step to E. And of course that's fine, but this motion is not as strong as the half step motion between F sharp and G. Another example where dominant seventh chords can resolve to minor chords comes from Beethoven's Third Symphony, and depending on the recording, this happens at different times in the piece. So, for example, I found a video where this happens at around 6 minutes and 39 seconds, and another one where this is at around the 7 minute and 19 second mark. But yeah, if you go give it a listen, you'll know what I'm talking about after I play these chords. So at some point, the winds, I believe, are playing a 5-1 in E flat harmonic minor, which is B flat and then E flat minor. Then they play a flat 7 and then a D flat major. Lo and behold, we have a 5-7-1 in the key of D flat major, here between these two. However, I believe this is a secondary dominant because we then get a B flat 7 and an E flat minor. And since this part of the piece is in E flat minor, I believe this is the actual 5-1 of the key, and the A flat to D flat major is just a secondary dominant, A flat being the 5-7, I believe, because D flat major is the 7 chord in E flat minor. Now the moving notes between the 5-7 and 1 chords are first the major third of B flat 7, D, going up a half step to E flat, the root of E flat minor, and the perfect fifth of B flat 7, which is F, also going up a half step to G flat, which is the minor third of E flat minor. And in this case, these notes are moving in parallel minor thirds, meaning the interval between them is the same, and it is a minor third when changing between the chords. The dominant 7th chords can also resolve to other dominant 7th chords, and of course this happens a lot in the blues, where a lot of pieces are written in the 1-5 progression, using only dominant 7th chords. For example, in the song Crosstown Traffic by Jimi Hendrix, in the verse he is switching between a F7 sharp 9 and a C7 sharp. Between these two chords, the moving notes are the root of F7. By the way, I'm just gonna call them 7 chords, even though I know they also have the sharp 9, but it would just be easier this way, alright? So the root is moving down a half step to E, the major third of C7, and then A, the major third of F7, is moving up a half step to B flat, the flat 7 of C7. This is interesting because we have the flat 7 of the B flat 7 chord, which is A flat, or actually I believe it's this note an octave higher, but nonetheless it is moving down a half step to G, which is the major third of E flat 7, and then we have D, which is moving down a half step to D flat to become the flat 7 of E flat 7. Then again, the major third of E flat 7 is going up a half step to become the root of A flat 7 from G. Something I find very interesting about this is that moving notes are first going down a half step, and they are sharp fourths apart between the B flat 7 and E flat 7 chords. Then when going to the A flat 7, they resolve to major thirds and then descend a half step to G7. So first they go down a half step in sharp fourths and then in major thirds, which I think that's quite interesting and, you know, quite unorthodox maybe for a song. That's pretty much it for this video. If you found it interesting or helpful, or you just enjoyed it, please don't forget to give it a thumbs up, and also don't forget to subscribe, and I will see you in the next video. Bye!